Hi everyone, it's Ellen and today I have a new scrapbook layout to share with you. So I'm working with this gorgeous cut file here that says love this. I got this from Hey Little Magpie as I don't have a cutting machine at the moment. And I'm really loving these. They're cut on really nice thick white cardstock, which is what you want in a cut file, so they're nice and sturdy. It's a bit difficult for me to get them because I work in A4 size. Some of the designs are clearly created for 12 by 12 size, so I can't use them. But this one fits perfectly on an A4 size. So yeah, I was really happy with this. I'm working with Cocoa Vanilla Studios These Days collection, and I've just taken some white card, trimmed that down it's about a centimetre on each side, maybe a little less, and I've distressed all the edges, and then I've added a border of a floral paper from the These Days collection. I've sewn around the border of this with a messy white stitch, and now I'm just ruffling up the edges of my page just to add extra dimension. My title, my cut file, is going to sit in the centre of this page. So I wanted to back this cut file, and I've got this gorgeous ombre paper from the These Days collection. I love this, it's so pretty, and I thought I would focus more on the yellow and peach tones, so I've put the cut file to the bottom of that paper, and I've just drawn around the outside so that I can cut the paper out and stick that behind it basically. And then I'm going to layer some vellum between the cut file and the background pattern paper, which you'll see in a bit more detail in a moment. I did want to add something to this cut file. I didn't want to paint it or anything because I wanted it to stay white, but I was trying to think of what I could add, and then I remembered I have a glitter embossing ink. Embossing powder, sorry. I've just smushed the embossing ink onto my cut file and added the glitter powder all over, and then dried it, and it just gives a really subtle, pretty effect. So here I've done all of the embossing. I've layered my title with the vellum first and then the pattern paper, and added foam on the back as well, and I love this. It looks really pretty. I've got a few photos that I want to add to this layout. As I've mentioned before, I'm really behind on both my scrapbooking and my journaling, and I'm really trying to get some done, trying to get extra done. So I thought I would clump together a few photos that don't really have a story on their own, but that I wanted to add in my scrapbook album. So I've created this little book just with some of the pretty pattern papers and added my photos in there. It's nothing special. I've literally measured out 2 of my photos together and cut that shape and folded it in half with a little border, a little extra around each side, so it has a little border. And then I've done that with 2 different pattern papers and then stuck them together. So in total I have 5 photos on one layout, which is near on impossible to do on a A4 layout. So I was really happy that I decided to do this, because yeah, that's 5 layouts that I've put into one, because as I said, these are not important days. These are just Theo mainly at home, you know, nothing too exciting, but memories that I still want to remember, like Theo with his uncle and my mum, and just pulling some cute faces. So yeah, it's a good way to get all of those photos on together. My photos are going to sit at the top of my layout, and then I've taken one of the foam title pieces that says life, and I'm going to add that under my cut file so that my title reads Love This Life, which is perfect for what I'm documenting today. And then I'm going through some of the ephemera pieces. I know I want to add something to the background, but I want to first work out where my main areas of clusters and things are going to be. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm not sticking anything down because I'm going to take it all off again. I love these little houses, and as a lot of these photos are taken from home, I thought they would be really nice to add on to the page. And I've also got that really cute banner piece that I'm going to layer over my cut file. I've got a few small ephemera pieces that I'm going to add throughout the sort of photo booklet, and I'm going to layer them all up, so a lot of the photos have different ephemera pieces on them. And yeah, I'm going to keep playing around with my composition. So now that I'm happy with roughly where everything's going to go, I want to add some mixed media to the background. I don't want to do anything too crazy, but I just want to add a bit of colour. So I've taken my acrylic paints, I've taken a mustard yellow colour and some white gesso, and mixed those together, and I'm just doing some rough brush strokes with that paint, and then I'm adding extra areas of white just to tone that down a bit. I don't want it to be too in your face, because there's already a lot going on this page. I wanted it to be subtle but noticeable, so that's what I'm going for at the moment. I've dried off the paint and layered everything back on top so I can see how it's looking, and I think that's really pretty. I want to add more to the background with some stamping and some embossing, so I'm going to put everything back on top, draw around it so I can work out where I want to put the stamping, and then I'll take it all back off again to do the stamping. This just means I don't have to constantly keep putting everything back on to check that I'm doing stamping, you know, in the right areas and that things aren't being covered up, because that would be pointless. So I'm starting with this Amy Tangerine stamp. This is quite old, and I'm going to start with the embossing. So I want to use the same powder that I've used in the title to tie that in, so the white glittery powder. So yeah, I'm just taking my embossing ink onto the stamp and then adding the powder on the top, dusting it off, and then I can use heat to emboss that onto the page. and this gives a really lovely subtle shimmer and sparkle to the page. You can't really see it on video, but in real life you can see the hearts, and it just works so nicely with the title, that with the embossing on the title. So it's a really pretty effect. And yeah, I'm going to do that in a few areas around the page, following those pencil lines I made for guidance. Hopefully you could see there in the light how much that sparkles, because it's really lovely, and I'm definitely going to do this again. And now I want to add some black stamping. So I'm again going to layer all of my ephemera, my title, my photos all back on top, just to remind myself where I'm putting everything, because like I said, there's no point covering it all up. And then I'm going to take my Heidi Swap stamp set and add some of the sketchy stars that are on there, and again dot them round in a few areas. I'm going to focus on where I've put those embossed hearts and a few other random areas as well. And this is just my archival black ink. So now that all of my background is finished and I'm really happy with how it's looking, I can start sticking everything down, and everything is going to stay how you see it here. As I always do, some things will be propped up with foam pads like the top of my trees and things, and then some things will be stuck down flat. Obviously I've already added the foam to my cut file, and I'm not going to add any foam to my photo booklet because that's already quite thick and I don't want to take up too much room in my album. That already stands out enough on its own because of how many photos I've got in there. So yeah, I'll stick all of these things down. I've added a few clear stickers, just some little hearts that I've dotted around here and there, focusing again on those clusters where I've put the stars and the embossed hearts. I've added 2 sentiment stickers. One says my heart is full and one says love you so much. I've added the date on the bottom of my page and a few more heart ephemera pieces, and I'm just finishing off by ruffling up that edge again around the border of the page, and I'm all finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you very much for being here. Bye everyone.